Hey everyone, and welcome to Tabletop Teaching Educators Edition. Today we're talking a little bit more about virtual learning and some things you might want to consider when getting ready for virtual teaching this year. So before I get started talking about virtual learning and some things that you might want to consider when setting up your classroom, I'm going to ask everyone, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please do so now. It really helps us out a bunch. Alright, so getting into virtual teaching, some things that you want to think about is you need a physical space set up even if you're only teaching in a virtual setting, because as teachers, things get a little crazy and you want to make sure that you're as organized and comfortable as possible to have an easy and successful year. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the physical space. Where are you virtually teaching? Are you in your house or are you in a building? Like maybe you still get to go to the school building even though you don't have any students. Either way, you want to have a designated spot where you are planning to do all of your work from. This way things can stay where they need to be and you can remember and organize as you need to. If you're working in your own house, make sure that you think about your backdrop. Look at your walls, make sure that you want your students to see the things that they can see. And if you want to set up a digital backdrop, make sure that you go ahead and play around with that early. You might have to work some kinks out. The last thing that you want to look at in your physical space is going to be your lighting. At some point, you're going to have a camera on and you're going to want your students to be able to see you because you're the one giving the instruction. So even if they don't have their cameras on, you want to make sure that they can see you happy, present, and part of their lives. So make sure that your lighting and again your backdrop is great and exactly what you're wanting. After you get your table or desk organized and you have chosen where you want to be, I want you to look at your connections, okay? So this is plugs. You're going to find that you might have more than one digital device to make your life run a little smoother for the virtual year. If you don't have enough plugs in the area that you've chosen to work, then go ahead and get a surge protector because you're going to find that you have more than one device that you're going to rely on this year. Mentioning that you might have more than one device that you are going to use this semester, let's talk about some of those digital devices that could come in handy. Obviously, you're going to have your computer or your laptop, but let's think about being online all the time and having multiple students who need your help with multiple assignments. You might find it beneficial to have more than one screen that you are working with. There are ways you can connect multiple screens to one single desktop computer so that you have more desktop space. It's very useful to have extra desktop space because in this way you can have multiple windows up and move from one screen to the next while just dragging your mouse across the computer screens. The other option that you can have is work from multiple devices. You can find that a lot of the online platforms that you use in a virtual classroom, you can run through either your phone or a tablet. So if you have a laptop and a tablet, go ahead and get accustomed to working both at the same time so that you can run a class, but also assign students their work at the same time. Another option, if you have multiple computers at home and you want to utilize them all for your virtual classroom, you can simply use multiple devices in the same space. Now this would obviously mean that you need to make sure that your physical space is large enough to accommodate the multiple computers or devices that you plan to use, and again, you have that surge protector. Some other smaller devices that can definitely come in handy for a virtual teacher are going to include a microphone so that students can clearly hear when you are instructing to them, or for your pre-recorded lessons so that your voice is clear in those lessons. And don't forget about Bluetooth headphones. These you can pop on your head or in your ears and allow yourself to be able to clearly hear what your students are saying to you without it having to be really loud and possibly disturbing other people in your house. Once you have your physical space and all the devices that you may plan to use this semester, go ahead and look at your internet. It is going to be imperative that you have a decent connection in order to clearly run all of the applications and the video stream that you may need to have in order for your students to get your instruction. Now, even if your students don't have the best internet, you'll find that as long as you have decent internet, you would be able to record any live lessons or pre-recorded lessons that you plan to use and then share them with your students. So again, if they don't have good enough internet to join the live lessons, they can at least benefit from having them. But I strongly recommend that you make sure your internet is good enough to handle a virtual teaching situation. The final thing I'm going to mention for a virtual space for teachers is going to be those tangible items that you may need. Things that you probably used in your actual classroom, but you may not realize you would want in a virtual situation. These are going to include your pacing guide or lesson plans. Go ahead and print out what your students are going to be working on, even though they're working online. This way you can flip through your own pacing guide or your own unit structure and get a better idea of what students are working on or where they're at. Sometimes it helps just to have some stuff on paper. Another tangible item that has really helped me in the past is going to be a parent contact notebook. This allows me to just flip through the notebook and get any parent email, phone number, or contact information so that I can quickly and easily contact parents when necessary. And it is imperative in the virtual setting that you go ahead and talk to your parents. Meet with them on a regular basis, send them information, and make sure that you're telling them positive things and not just negative things. This is going to help build a sense of relationship with the families, because when students are virtually teaching, they're essentially learning at home. They're going to be around their family, and the families are going to want to know that teachers are there and ready to support them in their own struggles. I hope these ideas help you understand what you may need for your own virtual classroom and set up your own perfect physical space for you to be the best virtual teacher that you can. Thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to check the links below for anything special that we might have to offer, and as always, subscribe to our channel.